Good evening. Hi, everybody. I'm Cutters Vice President of Marketing, Gabe Sinacropi, joined by Cutters Vice President, General Manager Doug Estes. We thank you for joining us for this special Facebook Live event, a virtual town hall. We're pleased to have you with us tonight as we introduce a new chapter in the history of the Williamsport Crosscutters. Now, as you know, we announced last week that the Cutters have joined the new MLB Draft League, which will debut in 2021. Tonight, we're going to tell you what the MLB Draft League is, what it all means, and most importantly, we're here to answer your questions. So post away. Post any questions you have right here on Facebook anytime during tonight's event. And a bit later, we'll answer any and all pertinent questions you have that we may not have already addressed during our presentation tonight. Now, before we talk about the MLB Draft League, I think it's appropriate to touch a little bit on exactly how we got here and why. As we bring in Cutters Vice President, General Manager Doug Estes. Doug, it's been over a year since news went out that Major League Baseball wanted to reform the minor leagues, and our professional baseball agreement was going to expire in September of 2020, and a list of 40 teams came out as Major League Baseball wanted to reduce the number of minor league teams from 160 to 120. And on that initial list, the Crosscutters were on it. So it got us a little worried.
A little bit. Yeah, certainly a surprise to most of us, maybe all of us, certainly in the office, all of us. And, we just expected that, like any other agreement that we've been involved with, and quite frankly, I've been involved in 30 years, was just a matter of, how much more money are we going to have to spend for, the team itself. That Major League Baseball team was not going to, pay for that, for some of those things. And quite frankly, we expected, the stadium facility standards to increase so that, we just thought there'd be more of those types of things in the new agreement. And unbeknownst to us, they had bigger changes in mind. And, that's where we sat, a year ago. I think we were all kind of in shock and certainly in wondering what the next step was.
Yeah, so, little by little, things started to come out and what Major League Baseball had in mind in this, really just an overall change. North to south, east to west. The way minor league baseball was for decades has now changed, literally 180 degrees. So nothing is the same. And negotiations started, and then they kind of stopped because of what happened in March.
Yeah, certainly, pandemic hits, and we were gearing up for the 2020 season as business as usual. Not thinking it was going to be our last season, certainly. And all of a sudden we get the call that everything's shut down, and we had to literally go home for a month, and it lasted 3 months. So yeah, definitely trying times. Unfortunately, the season was canceled at the end of June, and we had to look forward to what 21 held.
And as Major League Baseball got their feet under them during COVID-19 and getting their season underway, although obviously an abbreviated season, talks started again between minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. Again, remember, the agreement between the two sides was going to end at the end of September. So more negotiations, more things coming out. We did know that Major League Baseball, no matter what happened to any minor league club, whether they were going to be affiliated or not affiliated, Major League Baseball was going to give everyone an opportunity to have high-level baseball in their town, in their facility moving forward. So the great thing about the Cutters is we knew that our ownership group was committed to it.
Yeah, definitely. Peter Freund and the rest of the group, 100% committed to Williamsport. Even back in last January during a hut stove, he made that commitment. Again, not knowing what we were going to be, but knew that he wanted to be here and keep running a team in Williamsport. So, we were, obviously disappointed that 2020 didn't happen. But we're thankful and fortunate that the ownership group was behind the 2021 season, no matter what that was. So we're all fortunate, not only the front office, but the fans and the community at large, feel very fortunate that we've got a 2021 campaign to prepare for and play.
Yeah, and about 6 or 8 weeks ago, we started to see exactly how that was going to form as Major League Baseball introduced to us what they were going to call the MLB Draft League, and it's part of their future pipeline of how they want to develop players for the major leagues. Major League Baseball has a real vested interest in this, which is great. So come November 30th, just a week or so ago, Major League Baseball, in conjunction with Prep Baseball Report, announced the formation of the all-new MLB Draft League, set to launch next season in 2021. The league, which will include the Crosscutters, becomes the first in the country focused on top prospects eligible to be drafted by MLB clubs that summer. With the MLB Draft now being held as part of MLB's All-Star Week festivities in mid-July, draft-eligible players will have a unique opportunity to showcase their abilities and gain exposure to MLB clubs and fans each and every year. Founding members of the MLB Draft League include your Williamsport Crosscutters. We are joined by the Trenton Thunder, formerly of the AA Eastern League, the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, the State College Spikes, and the West Virginia Black Bears, all former foes in our now defunct New York Penn League. AMLB is also in advanced negotiations with a 6th club to join the MLB Draft League that is scheduled to be announced tomorrow, so be looking for that announcement. The MLB Draft League will feature a 68-game regular season that is scheduled to run from late May until mid-August, with an annual All-Star break centered around the MLB Draft. So, without further ado, we proudly present the MLB Draft League. Check it out.
Forget your inhibitions and go get what you want. We level up, we're growing, yeah, we out of control. Nothing can contain all the power we hold. We're going all or nothing. All in, no bluffing. This is how we do it. One chance, one shot, one life, so live it. We're going all or nothing. All in, no bluffing. This is how we do it. One chance, one shot, one life, so live it.
Love it. That's exciting stuff. Thanks to our friends at Major League Baseball and the MLB Network for putting that video together. More of those to come to introduce the MLB Draft League to all of our fans as well. Doug, the main goal in all of this for the Crosscutters was always to remain somehow, some way, under the MLB umbrella and affiliated with Major League Baseball, and this does just that.
Yeah, we're very excited to be part of the founding member, ultimately, of the MLB Draft League, brand new league. Very excited to be part of that. Certainly Major League Baseball is something that we always wanted to be part of, right? That's why we've been in this business for as long as we have, certainly. Right. So, yeah, it's exciting times coming ahead.
Major League Baseball is taken this league to be kind of the top upper echelon of what they're trying to develop in their pipeline with college players. So what they've put together is the Appalachian League, which was formerly an affiliated league. Understand that all short season leagues, former short season leagues, have gone by the wayside. There are no more short season leagues in minor league baseball and affiliated minor league baseball. So all of the teams, and we'll talk about some other teams in a little later on, but all teams that were short season are now having to do something else. Some of them are going to be elevated to full season, long season Class A teams. Other ones may join independent leagues. New York Penn League teams and the Crosscutters had this opportunity to be part of Major League Baseball and their development of these future players. So the Appalachian League is, as I mentioned, turning into a summer collegiate league, and Major League Baseball is going to push freshmen, college freshmen, to the Appy League. They're creating a step-ladder format for these college players, just like they had in minor league baseball. So Appy League freshmen, Cape Cod League, I know you're real familiar with that.
A little bit.
That's your home area. Cape Cod League, everybody's heard of that. College sophomores primarily pushed to that league. Then you get to draft eligible players, which are juniors and seniors in college, elite high school players
Right.
as well. They are now going to be pushed to the new MLB Draft League. And this league is really centered, as its name says, around the MLB
Absolutely.
Draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to have a long break, I guess, around the MLB Draft, right? So
Yeah.
I think MLB is pushing all this, right? They are the commanders in chief, so to speak, of trying to get these elite guys to go from their freshman year to their sophomore year to the junior year through the leagues that they are, being a part of. So yeah, MLB is certainly centered on getting the best talent coming through the Appy League, the Cape Cod League, and now the MLB Draft League. So again, we'll see top level guys. That's the edict anyway. We're going to see some top level guys before they're drafted. In the past we've seen them after they're drafted, right? Now we're going to see potentially handfuls of crosscutters that are selected in the first 5 rounds of the Major League Draft. So that's pretty exciting stuff on field and certainly off field for us.
So formerly we were affiliated with just one major league team, right? Most recently with the Phillies. So let's say you were a Chicago Cubs fan. You came to the ballpark and you cheered for the Crosscutters, but there's that part of you that, you feel like you're cheering for the enemy, right? Because they're future Phillies. Well, now you can come to the ballpark and you don't have to worry about that at all. I don't care what major league team is your favorite. You could be cheering for your future Chicago Cubs, your future Los Angeles Dodgers. Players on the Crosscutters now will be drafted by a multitude of major league teams. So it really is exciting. It's going to be fun to see how the whole league certainly evolves on its way.
Absolutely,
So.
and again, MLB backing this. I mean, we're pretty excited that they're going to complete the mission, right, and supply us with some top guys that maybe we wouldn't necessarily be able to see because they've been drafted by teams that weren't in our league, quite frankly. So
Right.
So yeah, it's a pretty exciting time to be part of the new MLB Draft League.
As you mentioned, with the arms of Major League Baseball and their marketing and their know-how and their want to see this succeed, that's what really makes it one of the things that makes it so exciting. After we announced this, Doug, on the 30th, I got a phone call from a former player who was extremely excited. Number one, that Williamsport was going to continue with MLB-affiliated high-level baseball at Historic Bowman Field. But number two, because he's actually a head baseball coach in college at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. 2009 Crosscutters infielder Evan Porter. He gave me a call and he wanted to send us best wishes and what he thinks about the MLB Draft League. Let's roll it.
Hey, Crosscutter fans, this is Evan Porter, former Crosscutter from the 2009 season. Now I'm the head coach at my alma mater at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. And boy, am I excited about the recent news that baseball will still be played at Historic Bowman Field in Williamsport. What a great opportunity for the city and the community. The league sounds so exciting. That relationship between the MLB and college baseball and high school baseball is something that's unique and creative, and I think it'll be a really good thing for baseball. And once I heard about that, I started looking through an old scrapbook that I got from a couple Crosscutter fans back in 2009. Sylvia and Fran. There's Sylvia and Fran there on the bottom. They collected a bunch of pictures and newspaper articles that I was mentioning back in 2009. So nice of them. Here's one. I'm getting tagged out at home plate. Here's another one titled The One That Got Away. I believe this one was an error I made in extra innings to lose the game for the Cutters. But there's also some good ones in there. My favorite picture in here is actually of myself and Mr. Gabe doing a interview there on field right before one of the games. Gabe's one of the greatest in the game of baseball, and I'm sure glad that he's there with his incredibly talented team and doing all the great things in Williamsport that he's done in the past. And to be able to continue to do that is something really special, and I'm sure happy about that. So all the best to you guys from Omaha. I'm looking forward to getting there next summer and hopefully watching a game, and go Cutters.
2009 Crosscutters infielder Evan Porter. The one thing, I guess, Doug, that I noticed, the first thing I noticed on that video was it looks like he stole a batting helmet from us.
Yeah, it looks that way. Interesting, huh?
Evan, I know you're probably watching. I was going to tell you to send it back. You can keep it.
Keep that.
You earned it, buddy. Evan was one of our go-tos in 2009
right?
for everything, for appearances and all that, and one of the first people to get a hold of us on November 30th.
Quite a baseball career in his own right, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, Evan played around the world. Only 1 year with the Phillies minor league system, but Netherlands, Germany, Australia. I'm probably missing a few countries, but
cool.
Really cool. Some incredible experiences that he had. Getting back to the MLB Draft League, great ownership in this league. Owners of the 5 teams also own other what we think will still be affiliated minor league teams. By the way, that's scheduled to be announced this week, maybe as early as tomorrow.
We'll see. Don't hold us to that.
Who that 120 is, and hopefully they'll even talk about the leagues. Some people will be moving to different leagues. Lots of little changes throughout minor league baseball. But the ownership group in this league not only owns teams in this league, but in other leagues as well. West Virginia, they own the AAA Buffalo Bisons. Mahoney Valley Scrappers, they also own the Dayton Dragons and the Modesto Nuts, both Class A teams. The Crosscutters, of course, our owner, Peter Freund and Trinity Sports Holdings, also owning the Memphis Redbirds, AAA team of the St. Louis Cardinals. Part of the Charleston River Dogs, long season Class A team. Trenton, part of their ownership group, also running the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, AAA for the Phillies. And down the road, our State College Spikes, our friends down the way, also owning the Frisco Rough Riders. They're a AA team, and the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, a long season team as well. So
and that sets up the league to be pretty strong. I mean, from an operations standpoint,
yeah.
I mean that we have there's a lot of veteran guys in those 5 teams that were just mentioned that are running those clubs and been doing it for a long time. So I think again, there's no fly-by-nighters in this league. This is a really top-notch group of managers, operators, and certainly ownerships that'll keep this league strong for years to come.
Without a doubt. Let's get to one of the main things, reasons why we put together this live virtual town hall, and that's to get to some questions and answers. So we did post a frequently asked questions page on our website when we announced this a week ago, but we want to go over some of those questions and answers, and then we'll get to yours as well. So, one big question. Will the team still be called the Williamsport Crosscutters? Yes, we are still the Crosscutters. Same logo, same ownership group, led by principal owner and president Peter Freund. The same front office staff. We're all here. Rashawn shall always be with us. You know that. There he is right here, keeping me company. And he's keeping Doug company, too, over on his desk as well. Are the Crosscutters still affiliated with the Philadelphia Phillies, Doug?
Well, unfortunately, we're not. But fortunately, now we're part of a bigger MLB network, right? So yeah, we lost our affiliation with the Phillies. We enjoyed our 13 and going on 14 years. Would have been the 14th year in 2020, which was our longest tenure, ultimately, of having an affiliate.
Right.
I think we had 8 years with the Pirates and 5 years with the Cubs before that in Williamsport. So.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, we lost the Phillies affiliation, but we gained 29 other teams. So
Right.
we're now an affiliate of literally 30 major league teams. But, we should say a little bit of something about our relationship with the Phillies, which was
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Really, I think, ultimately, with the 3 partners we shared here, they were without question the top, group that we had. No question in my mind. Nothing against the Pirates or the Cubs, but the Phillies made you really feel like family.
Right.
And I think that's Dave Montgomery's doing, and I think, he has a fantastic reputation. You talk to any Phillies employee long term, they'll talk glowingly about David. And he made us feel part of it from day one. So we're very fortunate that we had the Phillies for 14 years. And we'll still maintain some relationships, I'm sure, going
Absolutely.
forward. So.
Yeah, and Mr. Montgomery was the driving force with that, and he is certainly sorely missed. What happens, well, we kind of covered what team are the Crosscutters affiliated with. We told you. All of them. That's the answer. That's the true answer. What happens to the remaining New York Penn League clubs? Well, as part of the realignment in the minor leagues, there are a few teams that were in the New York Penn League that are going to be moving up to long season A. We'll hear about those couple of teams in the coming days. Most of the others who have not joined the MLB Draft League have not yet announced their intentions moving forward. They could opt to be an independent club, join one of the existing independent leagues. It could be a true collegiate summer league, or nothing. Staten Island
Right.
announced that they were
Folding.
folding. So why did the Crosscutters elect not to become an independent
Well,
team?
the numero uno is we wanted to be under the MLB flag, right? So that was certainly the number one reason why we opted for this. Number 2 is, I think, just the business model in itself compared to a true collegiate or an independent fit this market better than the other 2. How's that? So yeah, independent baseball, you'd have to pay your coaches, your players, your trainers. You'd be on the hook for quite a few a bit more expenses. Player liability insurance, those kind of things, is very expensive. And again, we just felt that again, being part of Major League Baseball and their umbrella was the best place to be, no question.
And remember, you're going to see these players, many of them, play in the major leagues. If we were an independent team, the odds of seeing one of them eventually play in the majors is slim. let's say that, slim.
And I can say that,
totally different.
based on our recent past with the Phillies or the Pirates or wherever, I mean, 3 or 4 guys from our club making it to the big leagues was, well, I guess, pretty average. And now, potentially, you could see 10, 12, 15 members of the Williamsport Crosscutters team in 2021 actually playing in the major leagues.
Right.
So that's exciting too, right? To have
Yeah.
15 guys per year. Let's hope. Cross our fingers.
And hopefully we have a couple of, each year guys that are drafted in the first round.
Right.
And we'll see them at the Major League Draft.
Absolutely.
Hopefully with a
Yeah.
Crosscutters jersey
That's
as
the
well.
hope.
So that's all part of the ideas and things moving forward that MLB has in mind of partnering and running this MLB Draft
Yeah, the
League.
draft league will be part of the draft, literally, right? So that's
Exactly.
what the name is.
Something we haven't talked about, Doug. How will the players and coaching staff for the Crosscutters be chosen moving forward?
Well, MLB has partnered with Prep Baseball Report, and they're kind of our de facto commissioner, I guess, right? And they're kind of in charge of having the relationships with the college coaches and whatnot to get the players to come to play in the MLB.
Which they already have.
Right,
They
absolutely,
do that.
yeah. I mean, TBR's been around for, 15, 18 years?
Yeah.
In the scouting business, so to speak. So that's where our players will come from, our training staff, our coaches. we're relying on them to get us those players and coaches. And MLB is partnered with them, so they feel very confident that these guys can do the job, so we have no reason to believe they won't.
Yeah, it will be good. And as we move through the next few months, I would imagine you'll be seeing lots of announcements, schedules, coaching staffs, all those kinds of things as this league gets further put together. Will these players still play in the majors? We've talked about this a little bit. Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. And as Doug mentioned just a minute ago, more from each team than in the past. As Doug said, just a handful, 3, 4, 5 from a team that would eventually play in the majors. I mean, I'm estimating 50%.
Yeah, let's hope, right?
It could be a little higher, could be a little lower. We don't exactly know, and it's going to vary every year. But I think I can safely say it's going to be more.
Right.
So that's very exciting. What can we expect? Here's one as far as level of play. What's it going to be like? Is it going to be worse than the Penn League was? Better?
No, it certainly seems like it should be better, right? Based on what they're telling us, we're going to have these high-level guys. Like I said, if we have 15 guys that make the big leagues, that in itself probably makes it for a better play on the field. Certainly, that's not something that Gabe and I certainly aren't in charge of, but yeah, it's going to be exciting to be able to see, these guys that are here with us before they're drafted, and a few years down the road, a wide majority of those guys we hope will be playing in the big leagues.
And you mentioned it earlier, but I think it bears mentioning again of how similar this is to what we were, except in some ways better, in that we get more players to the major leagues on each squad. But we used to get the players, our U.S. born players, a few weeks or a couple weeks after the June draft. Now the draft has moved to mid-July. We're now getting players a few weeks before the draft. We're talking the same type of player, just a month's
earlier,
different
right.
time frame. So and more of them.
Right.
So in the past, we would have maybe half of our team would be U.S. born, the other half would be foreign players, and some of those foreign players, although in a few years could rise to be incredible players, great major league players. Sometimes when they're here, they're literally 17 and 18 years old.
Right, absolutely.
They're raw.
Absolutely.
They're raw, which is different than the players that are expected to play in the MLB Draft League. So, another question. What are the differences between, when we were in the New York Penn League and now in the MLB Draft League as far as a fan coming to the game? In a word, nothing. There's no difference. We're still the Crosscutters. It's still the same place. It's still 9 innings of baseball. The hot dogs are hot. The beer is cold. We're doing all the things we do in pregame and between innings and postgame. It's the same thing, and we can't stress that enough. There's just no difference to what this whole experience will be from a fan standpoint.
Yeah.
I think one of the only differences is the patch that's going to be on the side of their uniform. Right. It's going to be an MLB patch or a Draft League patch as opposed to a Phillies patch.
That's fans coming through the gate should expect everything to be pretty much the same.
Right. Right.
There's a few things that are out of our hands, obviously, that may change, but not meaning COVID related, and we hope that won't affect us at all come May. But yeah, it should be from a fan standpoint, 100% same.
And we'll talk about COVID in a bit. How about ticket prices? Ticket prices.
Yeah, status quo. We're not changing anything. It's something that we feel that's important. That there's no changes to that. That's important for the fans to come in and experience that kind of same customer service ultimately, right? So
absolutely
same price. So
100%. Now, for some fans who have a season ticket or mini plan or bonus book or any kind of ticket package. You paid for your season ticket package for 2020 and you elected to roll your payment over to 2021. As a fan, what do I have to do to reserve my tickets for the upcoming season?
Well, fortunately, they're already reserved, and Cutters personnel will be contacting you to make sure that you still want them ultimately, and there's no changes that you want to make. But ultimately, yeah, they're in your name and they're set in stone.
So you will be contacted to get everything in place for 2021, but obviously you've already paid for it or paid a portion of it. When will 2021 season tickets, bonus books, and mini plans go on sale if I did not have them for last season or I did not roll my payments over to 2021?
No, we're certainly hopeful by in the coming weeks we'll have a schedule and then we can put everything out on online and people can purchase as kind of normal, right? It's a little time away, but right now, the hope is by mid-January everything will be up and running and people can purchase like they normally would.
Now we know a lot of our fans buy our ever popular bonus books, and a lot give them for holiday gifts as well. If you give a bonus book as a holiday gift, how do you do that this year if they're not yet on sale? Well, we would recommend that you purchase a Cutters gift card. You can do it online for gift-giving purposes this year. Just as a reference, again, the ticket prices aren't changing. So a 10 voucher book is still $59. A 6 voucher book is still $35. That's simple. Those gift cards, they don't have to be used for bonus books. It can be used for anything, merchandise, food and beverage, etc., etc. They never expire, and you can purchase gift cards starting at a value of $15 and up. Do it at the Sawmill online at crosscutters.com. How about for our sponsors? They paid for a sponsorship package in 2020, elected to roll their payments over to 2021. Do you have to do anything to reserve your assets for the coming season? Well, just like our season ticket holders, the answer is no. Your sales rep will be in contact with you sometime after the 1st of January to get everything in place for you for 2021 and to see how you'd like to use your 10% bonus credit that was part of your rollover agreement. Same thing for our season ticket holders. They got a 10% bonus if they elected to roll their payments over for 2021. We thank them for that. Will the MLB Little League Classic still be taking place at the ballpark? Well, absolutely. It will be held here in 2021 and beyond. The game next year scheduled between the Cleveland Indians and the LA Angels, and that is on August 22nd. We're looking forward to seeing Mike Trout and company here at the ballpark in August. Let's get to your questions. Let's see what we got online. How long will MLB be committed to the Draft League? Theoretically forever. This isn't a one-year thing. I've had a couple people ask this, like, what happens in 2022? This is something our initial contract with them is
5 years.
For 5 years.
Correct. Right,
So
right.
so their initial commitment is 5 years. But they were asked the same question point blank by those of us in the league that joined up. And, that really was their answer. They don't see this as a temporary thing.
Absolutely not.
This is something new that they want to establish as part of the pipeline with the Appy League, Cape Cod League, and the Draft League. So they would expect it to go on indefinitely. But that first contract is a 5-year agreement. How many top prospects will be assigned to teams? Well, we don't know exactly how many, but 6 teams. Some people might say, well, that's kind of a small league, but think about it this way. The more teams we have in the league, the more diluted the talent is.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
If we have just 6 teams, that's give or take 180, 200 players.
Yeah, right now I think the roster size is set at 30 players. But I'm sure that's a number that will be massaged. Certainly if they have more guys that they want to, put into this league, in the right positions, so to speak, right? So again, we don't know, but we're hopeful that, the 180 are the top 180 coming out, right?
I call them all-star teams.
Right,
That
right.
These are 6 all-star teams of
Absolutely.
elite draft-eligible players. So, yeah, if we get more teams in the league someday,
Kind of don't want them, right?
yeah,
Don't
we're
want
good.
fewer.
We're good with 6.
Six is great.
We're good with 6, and obviously loving to have our rival down the road, the State College Spikes, as part of this league. So, will drafted players finish the season or go to their MLB club? That's a great question. Remember, there's no short season baseball, for one thing. Usually drafted players will, well, literally always, they'll go to a short season club. They would either usually come to the Penn League or another short season league, or be down at the complex ball. In the Phillies case, that would be the GCL Phillies. But now, if they go to their club, they would be going to a long season team,
Right.
which is going to be a
Right.
little different. So they could send them down to their complexes or over to their complexes
Right.
if they're in Arizona. I'm so used to saying Florida.
Florida.
But they could possibly do that. We're not quite sure.
Ultimately, we don't know. I mean,
We
really,
don't know.
I think it's going to be individual. I mean, be my guess. I mean, if
Right.
you might have a couple guys that will, unfortunately leave us after the draft. But the hope is, and certainly hearing what the president of our draft league is the hope is that these guys will continue to play in the New York Penn League until the final day of the season.
Or the MLB Draft League.
Yes, right.
Old habits die hard.
Yes, they do.
But remember that the draft is past the halfway mark of the season.
Right.
So the draft is about 6 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I'd say.
So
Now, unfortunately, we don't know the exact calendar of the season yet, but that's
Right.
what we're projecting, a late May start. And I think July 11th, 12th is the actual MLB draft, I believe. So, and we'll play till we think first week, maybe the first 10 days of August. That's our thought. Again, nothing carved in stone right now, but that's the thought process we have going into this. So, yeah, there'll only be 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks left in the season.
right after the draft. So
Like I said, we're hoping that most of these guys will stick around and play out the regular season with us.
So the thing to think about with, where does the schedule sit? We've mentioned it a couple times, but we'll start about 2 weeks earlier than we used to. We'll end about 2 weeks earlier. So late May to mid-August is the time frame. Why is this different than the Cape Cod League? Simply, we're getting the top draft eligible players, the juniors and seniors. They will, if they went to the Cape Cod League in the past, that's not going to necessarily be their path for the future.
Yeah,
So-
MLB is wanting sophomores, right? Collegiate sophomores to be pushed towards the Cape Cod League. So
right.
some of them certainly are draft eligible. I'm sure I don't know the rules, all the ins and outs, but if you're a third year guy, that's a sophomore, right? I think you'd be eligible. But MLB wants the draft eligible guys coming to the MLB Draft League.
Right, and they rule the roost.
Right.
They will make that happen
Right.
if this is the way they want that ladder to go. The Cape Cod League also run a lot differently than the MLB Draft League will be. I don't even know if do they charge admission in the Cape Cod League?
It's been a long time since I grew up on it, believe it or not, from Massachusetts, and they were glorified high school fields. You had
Right.
the scouts with their folding chairs, with their guns and their stopwatches, sitting behind a chain link fence, watching collegiate guys play. I'm sure it's changed a little bit since I've been to a Cape Cod League game, but I don't think they're run as businesses. I think it's a kind of a volunteer
Community type
organization,
thing.
community
Yeah.
group. There's certainly a difference between what we're doing here and what they do in the Cape. The Cape just probably has some better beaches, how's that?
There you go. You led me to another point of, why will these players come to the MLB Draft League? And, you mentioned the Scouts and the Cape Cod League. But this is the spot, it's going to be the spot, Major League Baseball setting it up as the spot for you to get those final looks from all 30 teams. Every night in every one of these 6 stadiums in the MLB Draft League, all 30 teams will be represented with scouts, either in person or virtually.
Right.
And this is their chance to show their stuff in the final 6 weeks before the draft. So they're going to want to come to this league. If they want to secure their draft position, maybe increase their draft position, this is where they would come.
Yeah, and Prep Baseball is also putting in all the analytical infrastructure so that these guys can do that virtually, right?
Yeah,
Just
very
go virtually.
very high tech
Analytics
equipment
based.
that will be here. How will this league compete against other well-respected summer collegiate leagues? Well, just like we said, I would imagine that question is geared towards how will it compete as far as getting players. And we have the arm of MLB and of Prep Baseball
Right.
Report who have these connections. And again, MLB is setting this up in this way, and it will make it advantageous for these kids in those years to be part of this league
Right, yeah.
as opposed to go somewhere else.
Right.
Now, the caveat there is that here in year 1, we're getting a little bit of a late start. Some people have made commitments.
Right.
That's a world we don't necessarily know a lot about, but they make these commitments right around now. So, in year 1, it could be a little different. It's going to take, as with any startup,
Right.
a little bit of time to get footing so that this operates in the way MLB wants it to and expects it to.
Right.
That's right. Another question from Facebook. Will top prospects risk injury to play? Good question. Again,
Very good question.
we're going to find out.
Absolutely.
But I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
What's their reason? Do they feel that there's a reason? There could be any number of reasons why they need to play this 6 weeks. Does somebody even want to be off for all
Right.
this time?
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I think definitely case-by-case basis, there's no question about that. I mean, it depends on where they're drafted ultimately, right? If they were drafted lower than they thought they'd be, maybe they'll continue to play here and try to up their status, so to speak, and maybe command a bigger signing bonus. I mean, who knows? But I think definitely case-by-case. Again, we're hopeful that these high-round guys stick around and want to continue to play. And we'll see. We'll find out.
Right. And we're interested to find out. Are players getting paid? No, they're not.
All amateurs.
They're amateurs when they're here. Understand that when you're drafted, you may elect not to sign. You may be drafted as a junior. You may elect not to sign, and you may then go back to college.
College, right.
So they can't be paid. NCAA rules, et cetera, et cetera. So
I'm sure we're
this
going to
is
learn a little
unpaid.
bit about NCAA rules as we go forward here.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Anything else we have from Facebook? Will there be playoffs and championships?
At this point, I don't think we have anything scheduled, but I don't think that's necessarily been 100% determined.
Hasn't been 100% determined. It has
Yeah.
been talked about.
Yeah.
So we'll see as we
Yeah.
form this.
There's certainly many questions that unfortunately we won't be able to answer from a baseball standpoint. How's that? So,
Right.
that's still being drafted. I'll call it the league policies and the championship series, if there is one. All that is still being crafted, I think, between MLB and the ownership groups and PBR.
Yep, absolutely. Will there be tryouts? Not that I've heard of. No. There won't be tryouts for these teams. Again,
Unless PBR has some somewhere. I mean, that's what they've done in the past, right? I don't like they call them showcases, right? That's kind
yeah,
of their thing.
they'll do showcases, but I would hesitate to think that there would be tryouts for any of these teams
I doubt
here.
that.
You know, Major League Baseball and Prep Baseball report, they really will have focused on and zeroed in on who those top 200 are for the upcoming draft. And you're either in it or you're not. So there's nobody coming to a tryout to, would show their stuff and they would say, okay, you're in over these other guys who have been scouted probably for years since they were in high
Right.
school.
Right.
To usurp.
Doesn't mean
one
it
of
can't
them.
happen, but
Right.
at this point, I don't foresee that happening either.
Yeah.
Well, the Phillies had a tryout here for many summers, and will they continue to do that? I don't know. We'll find out.
Never know.
Very possible.
Never know. So, will the club still feed these players and wash uniforms, or this will be up to the players since they're amateurs? No, they will be treated the same way that. Well, that's a good question.
It is.
They'll be treated the same way that all the players were. Now we still have a clubby who does all that stuff. Yes, they still get fed. Minor league teams and their major league affiliate, it had changed over the last 5 years
Without
or
question.
so.
Certainly from a nutrition standpoint,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, it went from PB&J pregame to 3 squares a day in our latest last season with the Phillies. But no, they will be fed and they will be housed at no cost to them
Right.
at this point. And that's up to the club to make those arrangements and be financially responsible for those types of expenses.
Yeah, so these players will be taken care of as our players had in the past. How will players be housed? So that comes into our host families.
Yeah,
We've
host families.
had host families in the past.
Yeah, again, depending on the COVID situation and how families, I guess it's their decision ultimately. I think initially we're going to try to work out different housing arrangements so that we don't have to rely on host families at least for 2021.
In this
22
COVID-affected
going
year.
forward, hopefully we can still be able to rely on host families. From our end, it's again, logistically it's been fantastic. I think the host families enjoy it. I think the players, for the most part, enjoy it. So we'd love to get to that again. This year, we don't know. I think it just comes down to what our host family network and what their desires are and where we are in COVID ultimately. And I know we're going to talk about COVID, coming up. So, yeah.
host families, you're the best. Thank
Yes,
you
you
for
are.
everything you've done for us over the last 27 years, and certainly, as Doug said, we'll be relying on you once again at some point when it's safe for everybody, for the players and for the host families as well. We'll see if that is in 2021 or if it's in the future. If you did not roll over your tickets, will you still have a chance to purchase them? Absolutely. Come one, come all. We want you all out at the ballpark, or as many as can be here when May rolls around under the guidelines. But yes, absolutely you can. Information will be available soon on crosscutters.com. So check it out. Again, no price changes from in the past. Will there still be a kids club and a senior loggers club? Yes. As we mentioned at the top, nothing changes. We're still doing all the stuff we've always done. Just because we've changed leagues doesn't change anything. So we'll still have all of the things we've always had, including our great mascot Boomer. Absolutely. So the fun that we provide at the ballpark will still be there, and as always, we try to take it up a notch every year. So you're not going to see anything different when you come out to BB&T Ballpark.
Yeah, I think it's important that really all we're doing is changing leagues, right? Ultimately,
Yeah.
from a fan's perspective, we're just changing the name of our league. and
Right.
the teams that are part of that league. So from a fan standpoint, that's pretty much the only things they'll see is change, right?
Yeah, the players are still going to wear the same uniform.
Right.
I mean, you won't know if we didn't tell you.
Right.
You wouldn't even know probably. So, will fans still be able to get autographs? There's a great question. So, in a normal time, yes. In COVID time, probably not. You should be prepared for, the inevitability that autographs will not be happening during the baseball season. You probably should prepare for the fact that nobody can sit close to the dugout during the baseball season. We don't have COVID protocols yet. I'm sure that we will get them. It will be closer to the season because we'll have to see where exactly the country is at the time. But there's going to be a lot of protocols around the players. So I would not anticipate that autographs would be part of the 2021 season. But
they have to old school it like you did back in the day, and you
send it in the mail.
Send it in the mail.
That's right. Doug knows. I used to be a big autograph collector when I was a kid in the mail. Will we still have a Dominican plate event? Yes. In fact, started talking about that just last week with our Dominican plate folks. The difference in the Dominican plate is you'll still have Dominican food. We'll still be raising money for Aussies North America, but it won't be served by Dominican players because we won't have any Dominican players. But our players will still be a part of it, absolutely. Will we
could
have
have
a
some
hot
U.S.-born Dominican players? Right?
Well, that's true.
So,
That's true.
Maybe.
It could happen. It could happen. How about our hot stove banquet? Well, first, we can announce to you that due to COVID guidelines, we will not have a hot stove banquet this January. That pains us to say that. We love that night. We love raising money for a local charity, but obviously gathering 300 people in a ballroom right now is, illegal. So, hot stove will not be happening. Will it happen in the future? You bet your boots it will. Absolutely. Can I still get a... Who put that in? Can I still get a Cutter's dog and Gabe's autograph? Yes, absolutely, you can. We're charging a lot for Gabe's autograph. And I think that's all of the Facebook questions right now. But, Doug, we should expand before we close just a little bit on COVID. And we've already taken some steps internally, purchased some equipment for the upcoming season. Why don't you talk about that real quickly?
Ultimately, every venue is going to have to meet certain standards, I'm sure. We're still certainly awaiting the newest standards, and certainly they'll change, I'm sure, as our season gets closer. But we bought a couple different machines so that we could disinfect bathrooms and seating areas and clubhouses and offices and merch stores. So we bought supplies and we bought machines so that we'll be doing extra cleaning. During the games you may see even more folks that are strictly hired to help us with cleaning functions, maybe that you haven't seen in the past. But yes, we've gone ahead and purchased a whole slew of bacterial disinfectants, for lack of a better term. So we're going to be as prepared as we can be, and hopefully guidance coming down the road and vaccine and all that fun stuff. We'll still do it, but it will be certainly less constrictive, I guess, when our season opens.
The big thing to know and keep in mind is we all have to cooperate. We all have to be a little flexible. We don't know come May or June what the capacities are going to be for stadiums. I think it's safe to say that stadiums across the country will be one of the last things to open at 100% capacity. So you should be open to the fact that We talked about the autographs. We talked about not seating near the dugout. We talked about the fact that if we have a diminished capacity, there'll be only certain areas where you can sit. So people will be socially distanced. You'll be able to sit with your own group. Some groups, depending on how big they are, or families, may have to have some social distance between them. We're not sure. It depends on what the capacity is and how we set up our seating. But rest assured that if there are guidelines in place on capacity, that you probably will not have the opportunity to sit in the exact seat that you bought. And we wish we could say that would be different, but it's our fact of life right now, and we have to see what the pandemic brings us after the spring, to see what kind of adjustments we have to make. But we certainly hope everybody will be flexible.
So that's the positive, I guess, is we're 6 months away from opening day as we see it right now, and we just have to follow whatever guidelines they issue us. And unfortunately, that may mean we don't have 100% capacity in our 2,500 seat venue.
Yeah, absolutely. So more on that to come, right? More on that to come. But we are excited about our new opportunity in the MLB Draft League for 2021 and our affiliation with Major League Baseball. We thank you for being with us tonight. Before we close, a couple of reminders. First, check out the Sawmill online for all the great gift ideas for your holiday gift giving. If you normally give bonus books for the holidays, we recommend a gift card this year. 10 voucher books are still $59, 6 voucher books $35. And don't forget about 13 months of smiles, the Rashawn West Bay calendar, our director of smiles, just $10. We thank our friends at Bauer Electric for their sponsorship of this really cool calendar. Again, $10 each. All monies from the sale go directly to Rashawn's handpicked charity, the Hope Enterprises Foundation. Last day to order your holiday gifts for Christmas delivery is December the 14th. If you have a question that wasn't answered or just want to connect with us, you can email us at mail@crosscutters.com, or feel free to call the Cutters hotline, 570-326-3389. And be sure to follow the Cutters on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all the latest news, contests, and behind-the-scenes fun. Thanks for joining us for this special Facebook Live virtual town hall event tonight. Thank you for being part of the Crosscutters family. We wish you and yours a very happy and safe holiday season, and look forward to seeing you and all of our fans back here at the ballpark in 2021 as we unveil the new MLB Draft League. Go Cutters!